For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a tutorial pitching video how you're going to pitch your Vango Tahoe, be it the 400 or 500 itself. So we're going to almost go through a tutorial way of how it's done and kind of reasons why we do certain things over others. So to start with, what we'll do is we're going to get a tent out, kind of lay it out and position it as we will see fit. Now, the joys of kind of the Tahoe in its way is it's a really nice, small, compact, but still has the ability you can stand up in terms of the tent itself. So the first thing we'll do, like I said, is we'll lay it out, find our position of where we want it to be. Let's locate the back towards the front. What we got here then? It's technically kind of a dome tent. So what you'll find is that you've got two poles that will be the same. They kind of directly cross over. And then from there you can kind of pitch the remaining part of it. So what I want to do to start with is I'm going to peg the main kind of corners of the tent up, just so it's not going to move anywhere. We've got it nice and firm and we're kind of good to go. So there's little kind of orange kind of loops. So your orange tags along with sort of ring and pin. So a black ring with a black pin directly on it. So pegging the base, get it nice and square, pull against each other just so you get a nice tension. We're basically pitching it's like a rectangle. So we want it to be each part equally pegged away from one another. Again, we're looking ideally for where those orange kind of loops directly are. There's a little strap that basically stops the width it splaying out too much, so make sure that is on the underside, and it will pull that directly. The rough kind of pegging to start with is really so when it's windy, it's not floating away, we're kind of in control of the whole process of it. And so ideally, like I said, we're going for it to be nice and square the whole way around. Ideally, what I'd recommend is having the pegging points. So there's a lot of little tensioners as you go around it. Now, ideally what you do is have those on the furthest out setting. The reason I say this is just because what you find is when you want to kind of have to sort of tension it a little bit, the last thing you want to do is to re-peg the whole thing. So it's much easier just to kind of just loosen them off and then tension it once the peg's kind of fully in the ground. So we've pegged it down, we've got the wind blowing from one side, so again, it's not going anywhere. At this point here, what we can do is actually get our poles out. Now, like I said, there's two different size poles. You've got two which are going to be the same length, and one that's going to be slightly shorter. All the poles that are solid black are the poles that are going to be the same kind of length. So what I recommend doing is these are going to be the crossover poles. So it'll be one section which is grey, that'll be for the front section. Now we'll feed the dome part over first, so the crossover point. If you're unsure about what pole is where, there's a little tab on the start of the sleeve which will indicate the colour of the pole itself. So, like I said, the fully black poles will start directly at the back. Now, what I want to do is feed the poles basically all the way through. Ideally, if you can, kind of make sure the pole is sort of 50-50. So there's 50% of it on one side, and then 50% on the other. It just means you've got an even tension in the pole itself. We'll do the same with the other end. Again, we'll just feed those through nice and easily. As you sort of feed it through, you want to be careful not to kind of catch the fabric. It's very easy to do so. So again, just kind of guide it in. I mean, you can, like I said, as you can see what I'm doing here, do this with one person. If you've got a second pair of hands, it's never a bad thing. The main thing is taking the strain off the main kind of dome part a bit later on in the pitching process. So just going to feed that through nice and steadily. So again, 50-50 either side. Perfect. And then what we'll finally do is get the last pole, which has got that kind of grey section, and we're going to feed that directly through the front part. So we've got two that cross over the back, then one that goes across the width of it at the front. Again, you'll see a little grey tab on the sleeve just to indicate it's a grey pole. And actually the front pole is a slightly thinner diameter as well, so you will kind of notice that as well. Same idea, we want to kind of feed it through 50-50 either side. So now at this point, what we'll do now is we're going to insert the ringing pin into one side. So we can, if we push it back a little bit away, the pin itself goes directly into the base of the pole. Now what I'm going to do is I've done it on one end, on the back corner, and then I'm going to do it at the same on the back here as well. The crucial thing of this part here is making sure you keep the tension towards where you've inserted it into the pin. Reason being is that it doesn't then pop out. If you've got a second pair of hands, this is where it helps. You want to kind of just lift the material up a little bit, and we're just going to kind of slowly but surely just feed the pole directly in. What we will do, just to help ourselves a little bit, is just open the door up a little section, just to get a little bit of air into it itself. This is going to just help stop it being a vacuum. There we go. So just feed that in, gradually pushing it up and back towards itself. So just kind of just working it up. By digging the pole in the ground, it kind of imitates what's going to happen when you try and do the ringing pin. So at the bottom of the point here, we should have the same sort of pin system. Make sure it's obviously fully extended out. Pop that ring directly in the bottom. So that's the one corner done. We'll just make sure the other side's in the ring at the bottom, and again we'll work away against it. So if you've got a second person, you can go inside and just to give it a bit of help going up. That makes life a little bit easier. But like I said, you can, if need be, do it on your own, just like I am now. And again, we'll just insert that pin in the base. So now we've got the kind of crossover dome section. What I want to do now is just go clip the pole, clip the clips onto the pole, just to kind of structurally make it a bit stronger. That again means that's going to go nowhere. Very gently. Perfect. At this point here, we will then look to do the front door. What I want to do now is, again, is we can tweak the front a little bit if need be, but we'll put one end into the base of the runging pin. Just make sure our guy ropes aren't all muddled up. There we go. So again, we're going to insert, making sure we're not catching the fabric at any point. Insert that into the base of it and work our way against it. Like I said, if need be, we can kind of just dig it directly into the ground and just work it up. And then again, last but not least, put that last base in. If you're a bit short on tension, of course, just extend that webbing strap out a little bit more. Makes life a little bit easier. Perfect. We'll just re-peg that just a sec. And then we'll clip that pole nice and neatly onto it again, so we're all nice and steady. So now we've got the poles inserted, we're up, we're kind of fairly stable. What we'll do is we're just going to shut that front door. It's always worth mentioning, make sure that the pole isn't sort of out of kilter on one side, so too much on one side rather than the other. What I will want to do is just go re-peg this front section now we're up, just to make sure we're kind of equal tension on it, make sure it's nice and square. Again, you're almost pulling out from the tent itself as well as across from itself, just to make sure we're sitting nice and neatly. And by last one, what we'll do is just go around and do the guy ropes. So ideally with the guy ropes, the idea is you don't want to overstretch it. In a perfect scenario, you've got it so it just pulls, gives a little bit of tension to it, but not sort of oversplaying it. You see how it goes like that? Really, you want it a bit lighter than that. Ideally in line with the seam. So just kind of following it around. Like I said, you're not too much. I always recommend probably going longer if need be, just because it gives you the flexibility then that you can sort of, the guy ropes will give a little bit over time. So when you sort of first peg it out and pitch it, it's not going to be as tight as it is at the end of the week or the weekend, however long you're going for the festival, for example. So, and what we'll also do is just make sure we're kind of doing the bottom pegging points, make sure we're nice and square. We've got the back vent at the back here as well again. With the back vent, what I'd always recommend doing is coming out at kind of like a slight 45-degree angle on each side. The reason being it kind of increases the height of the vent, but make sure it's nice and taut. Just means make sure we've got it fully, the max amount of airflow within the tent itself. And if you've got a wind coming from a particular direction, I would always recommend probably starting with that side first, just to give a little bit more belts and braces. So for example, we've got a bit of a crosswind coming on here at the moment. So just make sure we're sitting pretty firm. But again, like very simple, nice easy design. You get the height, and the process will be exactly the same regardless of whether you went for the 500 or the 400. So like I said, as I got here, I've got the 400 with me today, but there's no difference really in terms of the pitch. In fact, these should be coming forward a little bit, just to give a bit more space to the front. Just rotate that back around. Again, got some. And last but not least, we'll just do the front pegging points. So again, very nice, easy. The inner pops up obviously already inside of it, so you haven't got to worry about that. And maybe the first time you probably get a tent, there could be the opportunity that you might need just to insert the inner, but as we've got it here, it's all kind of pre-pitched and ready to go. So very simple, very easy, ideal for sort of weekends or weeks use. We'll move on to packing it away, but if you want more information on this product, you can check out our review video we've done on it as well. So by all means, let's move to packing it away. So let's look how we're going to pack away the Vango Tahoe. So Tahoe today, we're basically going to take away almost the same sort of thing we did in reverse in terms of the pitching side of things. So what we're going to start by doing is leave the main four sort of corners, if you will, of the tent pegged in, the back two and the front two. We're going to remove the pegging points for the guide points and be all probably the kind of front section. Well, not the way, basically where the orange tabs are, that's kind of the main kind of points you want to keep. If you've got wind coming from a certain direction, it's almost worth probably just to keep it sort of guide in that point if it is kind of extreme wind. What I also recommend doing is as you kind of go round, is just release the tension off any of the webbing straps. The reason I say this is because when you come to sort of pitch it next time around, it just makes life a little bit easier. You haven't got to worry about you know, undoing them and such. And again, also, if you unclip a few of the clips on the poles, that's also going to make your life a little bit easier on that side of things as well. The key thing, obviously, the crucial bit is managing the air inside of the actual Tahoe itself. The reason I say that is because when we kind of pack it and fold it away, we want to try and ideally push the air all towards the front, just so the air can escape and doesn't get trapped in anywhere in particular. So we can't remove the peg. We'll start by unclipping all the poles, all unclipped, near enough. We've left the main four corners in place. If we take the base out of the ring and pin, so pop that directly up. I'm just going to give it a little bit of push down. Helps to slide that pole nice and neatly out of it. Now, we don't want to pull the pole directly out. Reason being is as soon as you do that, it will instantly break section by section. So if we lay it flat like this, we can push that directly in and then just pull the fabric off. If you are going to pull it at this sort of stage, I recommend kind of just giving the pole a little bit of a flex. That way it stops the pole coming out the end itself. And then we can break the poles down pop them in the bag, and that'll come in handy later for when we want to make sure we look at our kind of pack widths. So when we come to fold the tent, we're going to pretty much utilise that as our kind of guide. So we've done the front, now we'll do the main corners again. Same sort of thing, we'll just take the ring and pin directly out the bottom. I would recommend probably on this front, because you've got the crossover, undoing two sides, so i.e. both backs or the back of the front. Again, we're just going to kind of work the poles directly down, keeping kind of fully in control. Once we're down to a much more safe level, we can just probably take the ring and pins directly out on the opposite side as well. Means everything's all nice and neatly and flat. So now we're completely on the floor. Same kind of idea, we're just going to very carefully feed the pole directly out. I like to pull kind of, again, the fabric towards me a little bit, then take the excess out. Lovely jubbly. And then we're going to do the same on the other pole. Just feeding it through nice and carefully, not making sure to snag at any point. What you may have noticed, I've actually left the pegs in the main four corners still in place. Now this, again, like I said, if we've got a windy weather, I'm not too worried about it. Tends to stay where it is, but more importantly, when we come to fold it, it still helps to basically give a grip on. So you leave one end folded in, or one egg pegged in, sorry. And what you find then is you almost can pull something against it. So rather than having a second pair of hands, you're almost leaving the pegs in the ground as your kind of help, should we say, in this. So poles are fully removed. And pop that back into its bag. Perfect. We're going to put that towards the back of the tent, just because when we come to fold it later on, that's going to make our life a lot easier. Now we've got the wind coming from this direction as well, so what I'm going to do is unpeg the side that's not against the wind. And then we'll use that as an edge to fold directly against. So, like I said, what we want to use is our pegs as, our pole as the guide of how far we want to fold. So we'll just fold that across. Each fold I recommend just giving it a bit of a press down. Reason being is just it helps any sort of internal air escape. If you've got a dog to have you, even better. And just almost sort of run your hands from the back of the tent directly towards the front. Again, the reason being is we're kind of trying to push it all towards that front door. Perfect. Looking pretty good. Now it's a good idea if you've got any sort of additional ties, or alternatively just the bag itself, just lay the base, the bottom part of that directly into the bag. That way when you come to do your rolling, you're already in the bag ready to go. Now we want to use our poles and our pegs as something to roll around. Gives you a real good base to start with, helps get a real nice firm grip. You want to get this as tight as possible to start with, because obviously it only gets bigger as you go along. Try and keep your weight directly over the top of it, and if need be, just kind of keep pulling the fabric directly in if it wants to escape. You still want to kind of still be within that kind of pole frame. So obviously the width of the pole itself. Now because we've obviously gone directly onto the top of the bag, we can just push, grab the bag around it, and then it goes nice and neatly directly in the bag. We've got some straps there as well, just to kind of give it a bit of extra tension. So you see plenty of room in there, no drama, and it's good to go, ready for next time. If you have more questions or queries about the Tahoe, or more information about the sort of individual features, specifications, or a bit more of a look round, what you can look at is we've done a separate kind of review video talking about the more in-depth features of it. Failing that, if you want to check the link below, it'll take you straight through to our website where we've got more information on things like pack sizes, floor dimensions, individual features all specificated there, and obviously the pricing that we're offering ourselves on kind of the Vango model itself. Hopefully it's been helpful. By all means, catch us again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors tutorial video or any of our video reviews that we do as well. But thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again.